Welcome to the Aviation Pros Podcast, the go-to platform for professionals in the aviation industry. Powered by AviationPros.com, the leading source for comprehensive news, insights, and data on airport operations. Whether you're focused on airport management, improvement programs, ground handling, equipment, MRO, or FBO operations, we've got you covered with the expertise and resources you need to stay ahead.
Hello, everyone. This is Jenny Lescohier. I'm the editor of Ground Support Worldwide, and today I am here with Michael Bettua, who is the CEO of Volan Technology, and Ramsey Nuwar, Vice President of Airports and Aviation with Volan Technology. Thank you very much for being here. Can you start by telling me about Volan Technology and your respective roles with the company? Why don't we start with you, Michael?
Sure, Jenny. So I'm Michael Bettua. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Volan Technology. I started the company in about 2020, and I have a background primarily in enterprise software startups, ranging from data center software to online customer experiences. And I started Volan to really focus on a specific problem in the aviation space, which we'll talk about, I'm sure.
And you, Ramsey?
Oh, I've spent my entire career in aviation, Jenny. I've worked for airlines and at airports and with tech companies that supply airlines and airports. So my whole career has been aviation, airlines, airports. And when I came across Michael and I heard what he was trying to do, I could instantly see there was a need for this. And, having been in that position of buying, I was immediately drawn to working with Michael and getting this solution out to airports in general.
Well, let's talk about the solution itself. What are some of the problems that exist on today's airports, and how can Volan solve those problems?
Sure, Jenny. So, there are three big problems that we set out to solve with newer technology, which I'll talk about in a bit. But really, it's primarily around, safety and security and operational efficiency of airports. As you know, and your audience knows, airports operate like small cities. There's thousands of moving assets that all need to be in the right place at the right time to produce output, get those aircraft turned. But the problem is there's very little visibility over how these assets move throughout the ramp, throughout the terminal. And these are assets from ground service equipment to, maintenance vehicles, airfield maintenance equipment as well. And what I wanted to do is give better visibility through a microlocation technology that we developed so that you could prevent or reduce the likelihood of safety incidents like, for example, runway incursions. If you remember last year, there was a DoorDash delivery driver that was made famous on the local news channel for accessing the Chicago O'Hare ramp unaccompanied. Literally, if you look it up, there's a picture of the DoorDash delivery car right next to United flight. That cannot happen. And so having better visibility over what's moving on the ramp is first and foremost on what we're trying to do, and giving airport operators the ability to take action when people are not where they should be, for example. So that's, one big area which we can dive into. The other area is around security escort management and monitoring. So every airport under FAA rules has to escort unbadged people like a delivery truck driver, delivery driver throughout the ramp. This doesn't always happen within compliance. People go where they shouldn't be, like this one or other deviations. So we set out to really using location technology to track the whereabouts of people who are being escorted, but to do it in a much cheaper way with more control, what's called span of control over what's happening. So that's security escort monitoring. And I'd say third is really around all the ramp congestion that has emerged. As you know, the airports have very limited space to expand, but they're all dealing with more passengers, more volume flowing through. So I keep hearing from airports who want to, how do I actually use technology to expand my capability or my velocity without expanding my footprint? And so one big area of that is around ramp congestion, all the ground service equipment that's all moving around, being shared between airlines. It's a lot to orchestrate, and it's difficult for them, but I think it doesn't need to be anymore.
So how does the technology work?
Yeah. So Jenny, we built what we call a micro-location technology that you use these small credit card sized tags that get attached to vehicles, people, like badges. They wear security badges today. These are badge sized devices that get attached, and it reports the live location of every person or asset moving around the restricted area or inside the terminal. It reports that to a live map. We built some geofencing technology so that airport operators can define areas that are restricted or not restricted, and then take action on movement in and out of that. For example, you got a lot of construction sites going on constantly at U.S. airports, right? Almost every airport I talk to has a construction project underway or about to start. And being able to track the construction workers and to make sure they stay in that secure area is incredibly difficult. And so they just keep trying to add people to that. With our technology, we give them ability to see where everyone is, trigger alerts if they're not where they're supposed to be, and take action based on that, based on the location. So that's the technology. The way it works is literally it's a gateway that gets installed and within a couple of minutes they're up and running and tracking any assets. Super easy and quick.
Is it using GPS or what is it transmitting with? If that's even the right verbiage, I don't know.
That's exactly the right verb. Yeah, it uses a combination of technologies because what we found is, GPS is fantastic. We actually use GPS chips to track assets when they're outside on the ramp. It works great, but it does not work well inside of the terminal or underground in construction areas where workers have safety risk. So we use a Bluetooth low energy mesh technology, which is basically a wireless technology that forms a network by itself. So that's one of the big reasons it makes it easy to implement. You literally you power on the devices, they form their own network, and they're up and running. So it works interchangeably. People move from outside to inside, and the airport director or airport operators can track that movement, have full visibility over it.
Okay, so I'm going to throw a curveball at you a little bit,
Sure.
but we've had some guests on our podcast recently that talk about digital twins. I don't know, what you're talking about, sort of, I'm getting this image in my mind of something like that, where you have all these moving parts and you can visualize them somehow, correct? Is that how it works, or?
That's right. In fact, we are about to partner with a big company in that space because they want our location data on all the moving assets. So we're going to be sending them location data on these assets to populate a digital twin that also includes other airport operations data, as you say. Our focus is, of course, on giving them a live view of what's moving where right now so that they can take action on it. Whereas digital twins can do that, but they tend to be more for operational analytics purposes. That's a later outcome of the data, right? The real-time data is what our customers have found most valuable.
Yeah, just
Okay.
imagine Jenny sitting in an airport ops center and looking at a TV monitor and seeing all the moving parts at once, wherever they are, what's going on, all color coded, or you can click on them and see what your asset is, where it is, and then getting alerts too if one's wandered off to the wrong place. So for various operational reasons.
Do the pieces themselves, like the operators, using the GSE, are they aware? I mean, they're aware that they're being tracked, right? And is there any kind of feedback or communication, I guess, that can help the operator as well as help the operations?
That's a great question, Jenny. So we did build in two-way communication to the devices so we can alert the operator of the vehicle when they have entered or are about to enter a restricted area. And the alert is in the manifests itself in, like, it vibrates the card lights up that they're wearing. It'll send them a warning signal that you are in a place you shouldn't be. So that's one thing we're doing to reduce the runway incursions from people. Often, a lot of times it's not intentional, as you probably know. It's just unintentional. Someone taking a shortcut through an area on the ramp that they shouldn't. So that two-way communication is really pivotal to take quick action with the operator, but then give airport operations the ability to move in. And I don't know if you know, but the amount of incursions is quite staggering in U.S. airports. So there's about 1,700 runway incursions per year in U.S. airports. And, obviously there's aircraft, but all kinds of other vehicles that are, that can contribute to this. But it's a remarkable number and partly because what I've learned is not all of the vehicles moving around the ramp are being tracked, right? The traditional transponders that are installed in aircraft and other certain vehicles on the ramp are super expensive and difficult to install. So they tend to limit it to the aircraft and other vital equipment supporting it. But a lot of the other supporting vehicles are not tracked, and there's no mandate to actually require it, surprisingly. And so airports maybe try to save money, or they haven't found a technology that could be deployed easily to 1,000 assets. But that's where we come in, and that's what we're setting out to solve.
So Ramsey, because your expertise is in you said you've been in aviation your whole life. Is there a type of equipment, or is there a particular operation that you view as the most precarious, if you will, or the one that, needs to be tracked more than others?
Not really. I mean, there are various things. Our operations so far have gone seasonal, so we've tracked snowplows in blizzards to make sure that those guys are where they should be and that they can get back home safely in a blizzard. We've tracked mowers in the summer because, you can be, I mean, that's an hourly paid worker who's not necessarily doesn't know he shouldn't be crossing a runway to mow the other side. In terms of tracking too, what we're finding is, apart from what Michael's described, is when an aircraft comes to a gate, it's like an orchestra, and all these various vehicles have to be there to get you there on time. And we're starting to track those too, and that's where kind of we're seeing a growing interest of making sure those key items are there when you need them. So, for any successful quick turn that an airline's doing, there's 5 key items need to be there. It's a fuel truck, a tug, baggage cart thing, and catering truck. So, we're getting to that level of detail of what we're tracking.
This is a great point, Ramsey. So Jenny, and if those critical vehicles are not, say, at the point of the gate when the aircraft needs to be turned around and leave, what we found is the problem is actually identifying where are those vehicles, right? Because the GSC, and what we're finding, a lot of airports use walkie-talkies and they're calling around, where's the fuel truck? He needs to get to gate B32. It's a lot of walkie-talkieing, surprisingly, and it doesn't need to be, right? So if they have fuller visibility that's affordable, they can find out, okay, the fuel truck's actually at gate 35. His likely arrival time is the next 6 minutes. And therefore the aircraft, will be 2 minutes late or won't be late. That location data becomes really valuable to avoid a cascading effect of, late departures, excess fuel burn. Even it's amazing how that cascades into other factors.
Yeah, plus it gives you the data you need if there is a dispute. If the flight was delayed and the airline wants to know why. There's a record, they can play the historical data and they can see, okay, it's undisputable that it was that fuel truck that arrived late. It wasn't the catering.
There's no hiding.
Yeah, there's no hiding, exactly.
So going back to the technology a little bit, how does this technology compare to some of the legacy technologies that have been used up until this introduction?
Sure. I guess I would segment into 2 things. One is outdoors on the vehicles. There's some traditional what's called telemetry software that reports on the vehicle's operating hours and maintenance schedule, things like that. And then there's the transponders, right, that are require FAA call signs. Outside of that, what we found, there's cameras, like newer versions of cameras, AI cameras that have eyes on the gate but do not have eyes on the rest of the ramp. So we're actually partnering with a couple companies in that space to have eyes on both areas, the gate and whether the fuel truck's hooked up. And also, if it's not there, where is it? That's on the outside, GPS tracking. Inside is more sparse. We found airports have tried traditional Bluetooth beacons that just detect the proximity of something, like that's in the 360-degree range of that radio signal. Not accurate enough for what we're finding airports want to do. Doesn't work underground often. That's the problem with GPS. They've tried RFID technology, right? A lot of companies and airports have experience with RFID. It was a great technology and is for certain things, like when an asset's moving in a predictable path, like a car going through a toll lane, right? You have an RFID tag, you know what you're going to through. But the challenge we found is when those assets move in unpredictable ways or other paths, how do you keep track of them? So there hasn't been a way to actually do that. And that's the gap that we set out to fill.
Like if you put cameras at a gate, then that's all they're watching is that gate, even if it's not in use. Whereas our system can be moved; it's mobile. You can arrange, you can monitor gates that are during peak times, and then move the equipment if you want to move it to where they're being used later. There's no other systems. Cameras are fixed. Basically, you're not going to unscrew a camera and move it around the ramp, or the legacy systems that are big, expensive systems that sit in one place and are a heavy investment. So that's kind of where we're unique.
So what does it look like to get the system up and running? What is the process like, and how would and on a side note, are all airports a target for this technology, or is there a particular niche that you're hoping to capture?
Midsize and above. Our customers include like JFK Airport, Cincinnati, Amazon Aviation. So large, complex operations are really where the problem gets exponentially magnified, and that's where the technology can help the most.
What does it look like what is the onboarding process like?
Yeah, good question. So we recently launched or deployed something we actually call Volan Launch, and it's a kit that allows airports literally to get up and running in a couple of minutes, tracking a dozen items with one gateway. The gateway that ships with the kit gives about 3 miles of coverage, like 3 miles of range. So that covers a lot of airport space, and you can add more gateways. But that's literally turn on the locators, attach them to the assets, and the data starts flowing to the live map. And the configuration is no more complex, frankly, than dragging and dropping in the software to create geofences around restricted areas. It's really the Volan engineering team, I got to give them a lot of credit and built a fantastic product. Indoors, we do deploy a couple of beacons to give reference points. Since GPS is not working indoors, we have these little credit card sized beacons that act as reference points. And we, just like GPS outdoors, we do like a multilateration calculation to get really accurate on where something is. We deployed at JFK Airport Terminal 4, which is huge. It's about a mile long. Overnight in a couple of hours from like 12 a.m. to 4 a.m. So just to give you some sense of how quickly it.
Wow. Okay. That's impressive. The other side of the coin there, I mean, what is the investment like? Is this, from a financial perspective, how would you characterize it?
Incredibly inexpensive compared to what they're used to. Legacy technologies, as you know, not just the cost of the hardware and the software and the installation cost would add up. Ours is, probably 1/15 of traditional systems. For example, a couple $100 for a locator or a few $100 for a gateway, compared to thousands for traditional systems. So, for example, the Volan Launch kit that I just described to you is under $10,000 for a gateway, 10 locators, and a couple months of data flow. So we're finding a great reaction to that because it allows the airports to get up and running quickly. It runs off of its own SIM card, Jenny. So in other words, we don't even need the airport's IT department to get involved. There's zero impact on them. The data doesn't go through their network unless they want it to. We upload the information right to the cloud. So the response to that Volan launch has been really good, and we're excited to see that.
To validate the price being affordable, Jenny, we've been asked to track golf carts at JFK. The passenger golf carts. We're tracking the baggage carts at Cincinnati Airport. And other airports asked us if we can track ladders. So obviously, we have to be realistic in our costs because they're not going to use us, a huge investment to track ladders, for example. So it's a very affordable solution. It's meant to add and to be scalable.
So Ramsey, I mean, you've got some perspective on the way the industry has changed. And it's just from my short time reporting on the industry in the last year and a half, I'm hearing about AI, I'm hearing about digital twins, I'm hearing about all of these technologies that are all working together. But the overarching theme is there's just so much more visibility. How would you characterize this trajectory, and where is it going? Where do you see it going in the next era?
Oh, that's a great question. I think let me see if I'm answering this correctly. It's definitely, there's so much data and so much information. And so the first thing that when you're investing in all this is to make sure it speaks together, it's integratable. And so Everybody's asking, we have this system, that system, parking systems. We have, even EV systems at airports. What is the value of that data? And it has to go into some kind of collaborative data mechanism like a CDM. And it has to be there with, the analytics flow. AI is going to make airport decision making so much smarter. We're already seeing that. It's going to be so much more efficient. Today, we spoke to an airport that's using technology to guarantee that you get through security in 2 minutes. I mean, yeah, that's like such a game changer, right? When you go to the TSA queues right now, I mean, they're not bad, but 2 minutes is pretty damn good. Yeah, I mean, and this is all technology based. The passenger experience is only going to get better. There's no limit on what you're going to see. The way you can purchase, the way you can have information at your fingertips, so you can be much more relaxed about your trip. I mean, deciding if you want to get to an airport 3 hours early because you want to shop or where you want to eat or buy or not. If you'll be able to know that my example, get through security in 2 minutes and be at your gate in 5. You can arrive 1 hour before instead of the traditional 3. So the decision making for the public and then the decision making for airports is just going to be incredible amount of data, as long as they know how to collaborate and get that data to make it effective.
Ramsey's comment there, that's one of the big themes that I heard. So I was at a conference of airport technology executives called the Airports AI Alliance in Dallas 2 weeks ago. So a lot of VPs and CIOs of technology focused on how best to adopt AI. And I think Ramsey hit it on the head, which is the main message or main theme I heard from them is harnessing all the different data inputs that they have from all parts of operation and actually making sense of it to take action faster, right? And that's been a challenge until AI and some of the agentic technology that's enabling them to tie these systems together without hard coding, integrations that take a long time. So I agree with Ramsey. It's really exciting, and it's a big move in managing complex operations.
Well, it sounds like we have some improved travel coming our way for those of us who are passengers. So we thank you for that. Thank you both very much for your time today, Michael and Ramsey. I hope you'll keep us posted as things develop in the future.
Thank you, Jenny. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Aviation Pros Podcast. Stay ahead in airport operations and leadership by subscribing to our Airport Business Daily Newsletter, your go-to source for the latest industry insights. And don't forget to explore even more at AviationPros.com, the home of exclusive content for aviation professionals like you. I'm Joe Petrie. We'll catch you next time.